Really looking at, some of our keys, keeping them out of transition defensively, making sure we finish possessions. I thought the second half they made a better effort to go after offensive glass and just locking into some of our keys, some of our concepts, and we had a really good practice today.
Willie Green in advance of Game 2, OKC, the Thunder, and the Pels from Oklahoma City tonight, 8:30 tip. Thunder, a 7.5-point favorite over the Pels, looking to move to 2-0 in this series. A couple of teams that averaged 115 points a game this year, and it ended 94-92. You better believe defensive intensity ratchets up in the playoffs. Guy who knows that well is Dylan Buckingham. He's with KFOR television there in Oklahoma City. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Dylan, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. First of all, just give me a scene setter, if you would, there in Oklahoma City after hosting a playoff game for the first time in 5 years. What's the mood, the vibe like around the city?
All-time high. I've been around at Channel 4 for about 15 years, and I was here for the first iteration with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. And it's almost like fans here feel like this is a chance to do that again. They have that vibe where, when that team rolls into the building every night, they got a chance, no matter who it is they're going up against. And that's just the confidence this team has. Now, I will say, nobody truly really thought here that Oklahoma City would earn the 1 seed in the West, but they're also pretty fired up. So they knew how serious Oklahoma City took the regular season. And, we've got stuff all over buildings, all over this downtown area where you've got their faces, Thunder logos, you name it. I mean, the city really does embrace this time of year with the craziness of the playoffs and what this time's about.
And look, that's been such a house of horrors for visiting teams. OKC was 33-8 in that building this year, so the Pels trying to get a win there, not easy. But the Pelicans have been a better road team than home team this year. I'm curious. We can quantify the separation between these two teams. It was 8 games between the 1 and the 8 seed. But how do you qualify that after watching them this year and then certainly watching Game 1? Where do you see the biggest differences right now, Dylan?
Between the Pelicans and the Thunder?
Yes.
It's really weird because I think what we got in Game 1 is pretty similar to what both those teams are, if that makes any sense. I really do think they're more evenly matched than people give them credit for. Now, I will tell you my outsider's perspective. I do think that the Pels run a lot better when they have either a Brandon Ingram or Zion isolated by themselves for whatever reason. I feel like they look like they're more fluid that way. But, I don't think there's that much of a difference. For whatever reason, Herb Jones has done an excellent job on Shai. Like, I know you're going to look at his numbers against New Orleans and go, wow, look at what he did. But he's always made SGA work for his numbers. And that was no different in what happened in Game 1. I mean, I think they do an excellent job of that. I think CJ McCollum, his veteran presence with this team has been dynamic. And then Brandon Ingram just tough. And that's the thing that we didn't see in Game 1 that I think is going to be a big adjustment tonight for Oklahoma City is Ingram's got that size on Dort. And I know there was some physicality there, and there was a lot of hand checking that Dort did against Brandon Ingram in Game 1. I don't know if they're going to let that go tonight. And I keep waiting for BI to get crazy and just go and use his size as an advantage. He's done that to Oklahoma City past couple of years. We've seen him just go right over Dort and not even care and drop in shots. So I think that could be a big adjustment tonight. But to answer your question, I think they're more evenly matched than people give them credit for. And I think Zion playing 70 games this year was a huge benefit to that. And I can't wait to see if he can get back in this series.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I believe he'll be back in this series. It'll be interesting to see if the Pels manage somehow to advance, how long he might be out. But I kind of get the sense that they may have to do this without Z. Dylan Buckingham is our guest. He's on Twitter at Dylan Buckingham, KFOR there in OKC, good enough to join us. I think for a lot of people, maybe nationally, this postseason is going to be an introduction into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Look, I mean, obviously the league knows, right? I mean, he's an MVP finalist. But look, you've seen MVPs there in Oklahoma City. What has made him so special this early in his career?
It's crazy. He's just different. And you look at a guy like Ja. He is so explosive and so fast and got the highlight reel dunks. That is just not what SGA is about. SGA is not a guy that's going to try and take 10 threes a game. He might not even try and take 5. What he likes to do is basically dissect you in the mid-range, attack the basket, and try and contort his body to finish within 8 to 12 feet. I mean, that's just what his game is, and it's psychotic that everybody they've gone against knows what he wants to do. The Raptors did a good job of defending him and coming out early and trying to pick him up at half court. That was something that kind of threw him off his game a little bit. I know he said the physicality of what the Pelicans did in game one threw him off his game a little bit, but that's just what he does. And it's really weird because, he's the kind of guy that'll hit some shots and they're not flashy, and you look down and you're like, wow, how the heck does he have 28 points? He does an excellent, excellent job of getting fouled. And that's the other aspect, too, that I think a lot of people don't understand about his game. You're going to see him get about 10 points per game from the stripe. That's just what he does. He's a fantastic free throw shooter. So that's what makes him special, is he's just elite at doing what he wants to do. It's not necessarily flashy, but when you look down at the end of the night, you go, holy crap, this guy had 30 points. And before you know it, 50 games later, he had over 30 points. So it's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. But I think what really, truly makes him special is he knows he's the guy. He knows he's supposed to be the guy, but he's also fantastic about making sure his other guys around him, like Chet and J-Dub, Jalen Williams, are totally used within the offense, and that they're a big intricate part of what they're doing, so that teams don't just key in on him the whole time.
Which Jalen Williams? Is it J-A-L or J-A-Y? Which one?
J-A-L, number 8, yeah. I know. That's been a whole thing. J-Dub and J-Will here is like, and we still see people mess it up. It's pretty crazy.
No, I completely believe that you can mess it up. The coincidence of two people named Jalen Williams not only being in the NBA but on the same team is pretty wild. I did want to. You brought up Chad. I did want to ask about Holmgren and Jonas. That was a physical matchup down in the paint. What did you make of that battle in the paint game one?
The thing I've respected about Chet is he's embraced everything. So he had last year off because of his Liz Frank injury in his foot, which was a total disaster that the Thunder didn't see coming, obviously, as he was working through some play, run random 5-on-5 stuff in the offseason. He got hurt and got banged up and then missed his rookie year. Got a chance to kind of sit back and look at everything from a outsider's perspective before he was able to get back into the swing of things this year. And that physical matchup between those two, I've appreciated Chet because he is not afraid being kind of lanky. Now, a lot of people here kind of compare him to Kevin Durant because he doesn't have a bunch of meat on his bones, but he will go at people. Now, that being said, it's hard for me to sit here and tell you that Chet had an upper hand on Jonas whatsoever when he goes 13-20. And Oklahoma City struggled this year on the offensive glass. And there's a reason why they went to get Bismack Biyombo, but he hasn't really played a whole heck of a lot. The offensive boards are going to be key in this game and the rest of the series. If the Pelicans can keep exploiting that, Oklahoma City could have some serious trouble. And I think with Chet, he's not afraid to play on the inside. He likes to play inside and outside. That physical nature is going to be a thing. Now, we've seen games where Yusuf Nurkic went out there and got close to 30 rebounds against OKC, and they bounced back in game 2. They've done a good job scrambling to help Chet in that department, but what they're asking him to do to go against the Jonas, that's going to be tough this series. And I'm really curious to see if Chet kind of starts to wear down just a little bit with how physical Jonas can be.
Yeah, the Pels did win the offensive glass 18-8 in game 1, but even with that giant disparity in second chance opportunities, Pels still came up a couple of points short. All right, last thing for you, Dylan. Your time very much appreciated. What is the blueprint tonight for Oklahoma City if they manage to get out of there, head to New Orleans with a 2-0 lead?
My biggest thing is hit shots that they didn't hit in game 1. Now, when I say that, that's a very easy thing to say, but they got some great looks. They just didn't knock down what they normally knock down. That being said, I thought the Pelicans did a great job of packing the paint, having active hands, not letting SGA get to where he wanted to go. I thought that was a big aspect of what happened in game 1. Thunder kind of just, I don't even want to say got lucky, but they kind of just put their foot on the gas a little bit late. Chet gets that big block, and I thought the Pelicans did an excellent job of keeping OKC out of transition. So if the Thunder get in transition tonight, they're able to get to their spots and knock down shots, I think they go up 2-0. But I don't think this is going to be one of those series that you see OKC just run away and go 4-0.
He is Dylan Buckingham on Twitter at Dylan Buckingham, KFOR there in OKC. We appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Thanks so much. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.